Before Las Vegas became the most glamorous city on earth, before the neon lights, the billion-dollar casinos, and the all-night parties, there was nothing but sand, heat, and one dangerously charming man with a vision that most people thought was completely insane. That man was Bugsy Siegel, and his story is not just a crime story. It is the story of how one man's obsession literally built a city. His real name was Benjamin Siegel, born on February 28, 1906 in Brooklyn, New York, to a poor Jewish immigrant family. The streets of Brooklyn were brutal, and Benjamin learned early that survival depended on nerve and speed, two things he had in unlimited supply. His friends called him Bugsy, a street term for someone who was crazy, unpredictable, someone who went bugs in a fight. Siegel despised that nickname with every fiber of his being. People who called him Bugsy to his face often regretted it immediately. But behind his back, the name stuck forever, because it fit perfectly. As a teenager, Siegel formed one of the most powerful friendships in the history of organized crime. His partner was Meyer Lansky, a quiet, calculating Jewish boy from the same Brooklyn streets. Where Siegel was fire, Lansky was ice. Together, they were unstoppable. Their early operation was simple, a floating craps game that moved locations to avoid police. But Siegel's reputation for violence grew so fast that even the Italian mafia took notice. Lucky Luciano, one of the most powerful mob bosses in America, brought Siegel into his inner circle. This was remarkable. The Italian mob rarely trusted outsiders, but Siegel's fearlessness made him invaluable. Siegel became part of the group that historians would later call Murder, Inc., a professional killing organization that carried out hundreds of assassinations across America during the 1930s. Siegel was not just a member, he was one of its most active operators, cold, efficient, and completely without hesitation. In the late 1930s, the mob sent Siegel to Los Angeles to expand their operations on the West Coast. What happened next was something nobody expected. Bugsy Siegel fell in love with Hollywood. He moved into a mansion in Beverly Hills. He wore custom suits. He got a tan. He became friends with George Raft, one of the biggest movie stars of the era. He attended Hollywood parties, rubbed shoulders with celebrities, and became a genuine social figure in Los Angeles society. And women were obsessed with him. Siegel was described by almost everyone who met him as extraordinarily handsome. Blue eyes, dark hair, a face that belonged in the movies rather than in a courtroom. He had affairs with multiple socialites and actresses, and his charm was so powerful that people often forgot, at least temporarily, exactly what kind of man they were dealing with. But beneath the glamour, Siegel was still running illegal gambling operations, extorting the movie industry's unions, and handling mob business across the West Coast with the same ruthlessness he had always possessed. The idea that would define Siegel's entire legacy came from a very simple observation. Gambling was legal in Nevada. In 1945, Siegel became obsessed with a project in the Nevada desert, a place called the Flamingo Hotel. The concept was revolutionary for its time. Siegel did not want to build another basic gambling hall. He wanted a luxury resort, a place that would make people feel like they had entered another world entirely. Palm trees imported from California, a pool, a proper restaurant, a showroom with real entertainment. He wanted the middle of the desert to feel like paradise. The construction was a disaster from the beginning. Costs exploded. The budget went from an estimated $1.5 million to over $6 million. Materials were being stolen from the construction site and then sold back to the project. Siegel was either unaware or unable to stop it. The mob bosses who had invested their money were growing furious. The Flamingo opened on December 26, 1946, in the middle of a rainstorm. Celebrities who had promised to attend stayed away. The casino lost money in its first weeks. The mob's patience had completely run out. On the night of June 20th, 1947, Siegel was sitting in the living room of his girlfriend Virginia Hill's home in Beverly Hills, reading the Los Angeles Times. Someone outside the window fired multiple shots. Siegel was killed instantly. He was 41 years old. The murder was never officially solved. No one was ever charged. The mob denied involvement publicly, though almost every serious historian believes the order came from within the organization that Siegel had served his entire life. What happened next is the detail that makes the whole story unforgettable. 20 minutes after Siegel was shot dead, 3 men walked into the Flamingo Hotel in Las Vegas and announced they were taking over operations. The mob had planned the transition before the trigger was ever pulled. Bugsy Siegel never lived to see what he had built become real. But the Flamingo survived, and within a few years it became profitable. Other investors watched and followed. Casino after casino appeared in the Nevada desert. Hotels, entertainment venues. What had seemed like madness became the blueprint for an entire industry. Las Vegas today generates over $7 billion in gaming revenue annually. It hosts 40 million visitors every year. It is one of the most recognized cities on the planet. And it was built on the vision of a Brooklyn kid who everyone thought had gone completely crazy. Maybe they were right, but crazy built something that rational men never would have imagined.